problem isn't laziness. The problem is that nobody has ever taught you how to fuel a high-performance lifestyle. If your nutrition only works in perfect condition, then it's not sustainable. And sustainability matters more than perfection. What's the point of looking successfully externally if internally you're constantly feeling tired and exhausted? Most busy professionals think they have an energy problem. No, you don't. You have a fueling problem. Let me explain. Think about it. Most people don't actually eat for performance anymore. They eat for survival and convenience. You wake up and start the day with coffee. Breakfast is something you grab on the way. You rush into meetings, and lunch happens whenever you can squeeze it in. Sometimes it's a sandwich, bread with cheese and an apple maybe, which has no adequate nutrition, and you expect that to carry you till the afternoon. Then around 3 o'clock, your energy drops. You reach for another coffee, something sweet, something quick, or anything that gets you through the rest of the day. And by the time you get home, you're exhausted, hungry, and making food choices based on convenience and emotions instead of what your body actually needs and requires. The problem isn't laziness. The problem is that nobody has ever taught you how to fuel a high-performance lifestyle. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. You know what's scary? Most hard-working professionals think having low energy is normal. So if you're wondering why you're constantly feeling tired, your nutrition is probably one of the biggest hidden culprits. Listen, when I started my business, I was working 5 to 6 days a week, exercising 4 times a week, managing a team, my 2 kids and the family. I did this longer than I could imagine, and I still managed to stay in shape and take care of my health. Of course, I had support from my wife, but nonetheless, I was able to sustain my energy and performance. I'm not telling you this to brag. The reason why I was able to cope with everything is because I had a system that was designed for my lifestyle. From how I started my day, what I ate, when I trained, the type of training I did, and what time I went to bed. If you don't have a system, you're going to operate by default. One thing I see constantly is people relying on caffeine to compensate for poor lifestyle structure. Coffee in the morning, another coffee before work, another one during stress just to cope, and another one in the evening as a pre-workout. People are artificially stimulating themselves all day because the body is actually exhausted underneath. And the dangerous thing is, caffeine masks the problem temporarily. It doesn't solve poor recovery, poor nutrition, stress, or sleep debt. So many professionals are stuck in this cycle. Stress, caffeine, poor sleep, low energy, more caffeine. This is a dangerous long-term system. One of the biggest failures of the health and fitness industry is the amount of misinformation it has spread. People have been sold shortcuts, magic solutions, and false promises instead of being taught the simple habits that create lasting results. Most diets online are unrealistic. They all have some sort of restriction. And first of all, they're pretty complicated, and they don't even fit a normal social life. That's not real life for most professionals in Amsterdam. People have meetings, travel, social dinners, clients, deadlines, kids, business responsibilities, and of course, stress. So when someone follows an extreme diet for 2 weeks and then it collapses, they think they failed. But honestly, the system failed them. Because if your nutrition only works in perfect condition, then it's not sustainable. And sustainability matters more than perfection. Most people think nutrition is only physical, but nutrition is deeply psychological. Let me explain. When stress rises, people crave convenience, comfort foods, sugar, high stimulation, high dopamine foods. Why? Because mentally exhausted people make emotional decisions. We call that decision fatigue. I've experienced this myself. After a long day at work, getting home late and feeling exhausted, ordering takeaway often feels like the easiest option. In those moments, convenience usually wins over good intentions. But when healthy meals are already prepared and waiting in the fridge, everything changes. Instead of relying on motivation, you rely on preparation. The healthier choice becomes the easier choice, making it much more likely that you'll stay on track with your nutrition goals. That's why many professionals eat well during calm periods, and then they lose completely their structure during stressful weeks. This has nothing to do with being weak. The nervous system affects eating behavior massively. We call that emotional eating. This is why recovery and stress management matter just as much as calories. One thing I've noticed with many of my clients is they usually already have some sort of idea what healthy food is. So they're not that far off. The issue is they don't know portion control, moderation, and how to make nutrition work consistently inside their real life or lifestyle. So what happens? They start aggressively. Then life gets busy. Then structure disappears. Then guilt kicks in. And then they repeat the cycle all over again. What actually changes people long term is realistic systems, structure, preparation, accountability, and consistency, not temporary motivation. Honestly, I think most professionals focus too much on aesthetics, and that's just not real life. Real health shows up as stable energy, mental clarity, better recovery, better focus, better emotional regulation, better sleep, and consistency. Because what's the point of looking successfully externally if internally you're constantly feeling tired and exhausted? Your energy affects leadership, relationships, confidence, decision-making, business performance, and quality of life in general. That's why nutrition should never be treated like a side hobby. As a matter of fact, it should be given the same amount of attention as exercise, if not more, because it directly affects how you perform as a human being. The Bible teaches us to honor God with your body. 1 Corinthians 6:20. Not because we worship our bodies, but because we are called to be good stewards of the gifts God has given us. Exercise, good nutrition, sleep, and recovery are not acts of vanity. They can be acts of stewardship. And honestly, I think many people underestimate how connected physical stewardship is to life itself. You can't lead in life if you can't lead yourself. Discipline is a foundation of leadership because your body affects your mind, your emotions, your relationships, your energy, and your purpose. Taking care of your health is not vanity, it's responsibility. At BeyondFit, we don't believe in building fake influencer lifestyles. We focus on helping busy professionals build a realistic system, sustainable nutrition, better energy, better structure, and long-term performance. Because most people don't need another extreme diet. They need a system that actually works in real life. So if you constantly feel tired, stressed, inconsistent, or physically disconnected from yourself, the issue isn't motivation. It's just that nobody ever helped you to build structure around your real lifestyle. And this is exactly what we do at BeyondFit. My name is David Billy, and remember, always prioritize your valuable asset, you.